Hello and welcome to the 2026 Open Day Countdown, a series where we count down to opening day by briefing all 30 teams in MLB. Yesterday we spoke about the Kansas City Royals, and today we talk about the New York Mets. Last year, the Mets finished record was 83 and 79, second place in the East, but they just barely missed the playoffs. But even though they missed the playoffs, they're looking to get back in there. They made a ton of moves this offseason. A lot of guys coming in, a lot of guys moving away. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, the two main guys that are staying on the roster that were there last year, Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor, they're two best players last year. Juan Soto, not much needs to be said about him, but 156 WRC plus this year, and he was actually one of the most unluckiest hitters last year, despite being such a good hitter already. His BFIP plus was 184, which is just absolutely insane. And you look at it, not many strikeouts. There's a little bit of strikeouts, but less strikeouts than average. A ton of walks, and normally when you get these high very close strikeout and walk ratios, normally those guys don't hit for too much power. But Juan Soto has a ton of power, 11% barrel rate, so that's why he's so good offensively. He's just a very strong blend of power, contact, discipline. It's very hard to beat him. And then at shortstop, they have Francisco Lindor, another very good bat, very good defense at shortstop as well. WRC plus 129 last year, BFIP plus 119. A little bit overperformed, but it's within the margin of error, I'd say. But the rest of their infield last year was Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, and Brett Beatty. And so now they're going with almost a whole new look. They do still have Brett Beatty, but he's more in a bench role. At first base, they have Jorge Polanco, and third base, Bo Bichette. Two guys that are learning new positions. Because Polanco last year was more of a second baseman, but he wasn't that great defensively at second base, so that's why he's moving to first base for the Mets. And Bo also, similar issue where he was bad defensively last year at shortstop, but now he's moving to third base for the Mets. So both of them were pretty good last year by WRC plus. BFIP plus a little bit lower on them, but still above average, so they're gonna be good everyday bats for them. And then yeah, so they have a pretty good offense. Next up, Luis Francisco Alvarez, two catchers. I think Francisco Alvarez is gonna be the primary catcher, but if you look at the splits, Perez is good against lefties. Sorry, righties. To say, you can see the WRC plus was a bit low, but 115 BFIP plus. And against the lefties, Francisco Alvarez, who raked against lefties, but Perez was sort of average. So you could platoon them, but I think Alvarez, he's because he's young and he's sort of, you want him to be that franchise catcher. I think he's gonna get most of the playing time at catcher. But if he scuffles out a gate or he exhibits those splits again, or he's bad against righties but good against lefties, then I think you can make an argument that Perez and Alvarez platoon together at catcher. And so yeah. Again, actually, sorry. Before I get into Beatty, I do want to talk about Marcus Semien. They traded Brandon Nimmo for him this offseason. He's another new infielder. He's gonna play second base. WRC plus last year of 89, which wasn't that great, but BFIP was at least average, and also he does pull the ball in the air a decent amount, so there's good chance of him bounces back. But even if he doesn't bounce back offensively, you still have pretty good defense at second base from him, and the Mets will really like that. Then one more addition I want to touch on actually, Luis Robert, acquired from the White Sox. He's wasn't that great last year, but if you look at the splits, let me find him. Against righties, he wasn't too great, and against lefties, he was actually very good. 130 plus 147 BFIP plus. So I think Robert will play every day at first, just to see if he can bounce back to his form like he did last year. I know he did change his stance for the final couple months of the year, and that has helped him really cut down on the strikeouts. I believe it was 30% for the first few months and then 15% for the last couple. So there's definitely a chance that Robert bounces back. I think he can. There's a chance he overperforms his 97 BFIP plus. Maybe then he's back to the all-star form he was back in a few years ago. But even let's say Robert doesn't pan out, then you can sort of platoon him against lefties. And then against righties, you can maybe use someone else. Like, for example, Carson Bench, who isn't listed here because he was at AAA, but there's no doubt that Bench is going to be on the opening day roster. He worked his way up all the way to AAA last year, and even though at AAA he wasn't that great, 53 WRC plus, according to BFA Plus, he actually had a 142. So in the small sample, he was underperforming his peripherals. So he's someone that I think, like, he was actually like performing pretty well according to the peripherals, and at a level that is at least average for the big leagues, like projects for average offense in the big leagues. And Bench, he did have a little bit of platoon splits. Like, he is a lefty, he was better against righties. So when I get into the predicted lineups, I do have him in a platoon. But like, let's say Robert doesn't pan out and he's still good against lefties but bad against righties, then you can platoon Bench with him, and then you can trade for a another outfielder at the deadline. Ideally, one that can like play against both hands of hitters, both hands of pitchers. Sorry. So yeah, that's what I have for the offense. Onto the pitching staff. The pitching staff wasn't that great last year. Like, you can see, like, a lot of guys who had pretty bad ERAs, and a lot of that was due to in the second half. Like, for example, Kodai Senga, he had a pretty good ERA, but if you go look at the second half numbers, he was actually much worse. Same with Tom Manaya, same with David Peterson, same with a lot of the guys in their rotation. So because that's like part of the reason like why they missed the playoffs, because they had a very good offense, but the pitching just collapsed. But now you're hoping for a very good pitching staff this year. Like Nolan McClain, he came up and he shoved 206 ERA, 317 BFIP. He should be frontline starter. He's not going to be the opening day starter, just because the Mets, they traded for Freddie Peralta, and they also have Tobias Myers. But Peralta, the main get, 270 ERA, 366 BFIP. The peripherals are like not as high on him, and that's partially due to the Brewers having a very good defense behind him. But Mets also will have a very good defense behind Peralta, so he can still like overperform his peripherals. But yeah, Manaya, you can see very bad ERA last year, but peripherals are better. XFIP is very high on him, so is Sierra, so is BFIP as well. So I expect Manaya to bounce back, and he's going to be that third starter. Miguel, I believe he's out. I'm not sure if he's out for the full year, but he's definitely... Yeah, he should be out for the full year. It's Tommy John surgery he received in, I believe, September, so he's going to miss most, if not all, of the year. Miguel had very big peripherals, but he's someone that you're going to miss, so... Yeah, these three are probably going to be your top three arms, and then you have Peterson, Senga, and Holmes as your next three arms. All three have to be on the opening day roster because none of them have any options. Well, Senga, they did option him a bit last year, but I don't expect him to do that to start this year. But all three arms, like Peterson, Senga, Holmes, they're sort of average last year by BFIP. 394 for Peterson, Senga 426, Holmes 442. But since they're like so close pitching wise, it's very hard to pick one arm to sort of lead the, like, not necessarily lead away, but like two arms to stay in the rotation, one arm to move to the bullpen. So we'll get into what I have for the arrangement there, like when we get into the pictured lineups. So that's pretty much what I have for the pitching staff. Sorry, the starting pitching staff. Onto the bullpen. They have some pretty good arms, but not too much high-end talent. Like Williams, he wasn't that great last year, but BFIP is high on him. Like, maybe he regresses, no guarantee. Like, Devin Williams is probably going to be their closer. Like you're hoping for at least a bit of a bounce back based on these peripherals, and I think he will. Reed Garrett, he's going to miss some time, so you're not getting him. Brooks Raley and Luke Weaver, those are going to be your setup men. Last year they were very good by ERA and by, especially Raley, like 209 BFIP, you don't really see 8-8. That's partially because he didn't allow that any barrels at all. And I think, like, if you like just strikeout and walk rate, it's sort of okay. So maybe he doesn't perform like this well, but he should still perform well, just because like even ERA, like, and all the peripherals, like, they're all like pretty high on him. Yeah. Other than that, there's AJ Minter, who is also going to be missing the year, and then uh yeah, like they have like a bunch of like below average arms, but, like they can give you some length. Like Oscar Brazaban, he's a guy who can give you multiple innings. Also Tobias Myers, who listed in the I'm just gonna show everybody. Like Tobias Myers, like you can see like he made 22 pitched 20 in 22 games but only 6 starts and 50 innings, so he's like another one of those like multi-inning relief arms. Pretty average last year. So when we get in, I'm gonna get into pitcher lineups, and I'm actually gonna start with the rotation first. So I actually have a 6-man rotation. So because like it was very hard for me to pick between Peterson, Senga, and Holmes, so I sort of just like went with all three, and I think you sort of play it based on like spring training and also just like maybe April, like who performs the best in April, and like whoever is the worst probably moves to bullpen. But the thing is, like with a 6-man rotation, that is really gonna put a ton of strain on your bullpen because now you only have 7 arms instead of 8, and like it's not like you're sort of hoping for these arms to like pitch a little bit deeper into the game, so you're not always gonna get that. So what I did is I actually have both Tobias Myers and Hosko Barzaban as long relievers, just because like, and also since this rotation sort of struggled a lot last year, you're they might like have a ton of like 5 and die starts, so you're gonna need some guys who can give you multiple innings out of that bullpen. And Tobias Myers, Hosko Barzaban, I think both of those guys are gonna be long relievers. But the issue is like then it's like Devin Williams, Brooks Lilly, Luke Weaver, Luis Garcia, Brian Hudson. Like there isn't really like an very inspiring pitching staff. Like these three are pretty good, but Luis Garcia and Brian Hudson, those two, like you can see, they're pretty bad last year, and especially Hudson. Like neither of these guys have options, so you sort of have to have them on the opening day roster. But like I think it wouldn't be take too long until like let's say these guys underperform. I don't think it would take too long for those guys to like get released or like put on waivers, and then they do have like a couple bullpen arms like in AAA waiting on in the wings. Like for example, Austin Warren, like he's another guy who can also give some length. Like maybe a small sample, but like he's pitched pretty well. I also like Dylan Ross. He has very good stuff. It's sort of like fastball, slider, splitter, and from a pretty high arm slot, ton of very hard velo. Like I believe it's like 97, 98, and it gets a ton of extension. So Dylan Ross is an arm that I really like, but probably doesn't get spot in the opening roster. He actually got optioned like a few days ago as I'm recording this, so he's definitely not, most likely not going to be on the opening day roster just because he got optioned. And then another guy who like had some buzz to spring training, Ryan Lambert. He's not on the 40-man, so there's like a tougher. It's tougher for him to make it, but he has a very elite fastball. It's like over the top at like 98, I believe, and like over 20 inches of induced vertical break. So Ryan Lambert is another arm I'm looking at for potentially like improving over these two guys in the bullpen. But those two, like Dylan Ross, Ryan Lambert, though I really like them, never going to be on the open day roster most likely, so that's I don't have them here. So now let's get into the lineup. Again, like Francisco Alvarez, everyday catcher. You could platoon him with Terens, but I think just because Alvarez is like your former like top prospect, you sort of want him to be that guy. I think you should just like let him have the runway, and then if it doesn't work out to start the year, then you can consider Terence as like a platoon option at catcher. So in the infield, no platoons: Polanco, Semien, Bichette, Lindor. Like again, like these four are like again all like very good bats. Semien is a bit of a weak point, but he's someone who you can expect to bounce back, and also like he's someone who won't have as big of a role just because it's a better offense in my opinion. New York, the New York Mets versus the Texas Rangers, so with a little less pressure, like maybe he can overperform as well. Yeah, that's the infield. In the outfield, Juan Soto every day, Luis Robert every day, and then right field, platoon, Carson Bench, Tyrone Taylor. Bench is definitely going to get platoon, and he's definitely going to be on the opening day roster. But just so like they do have Robert as a very good platoon option, but I don't think. First of all, I think Robert can bounce back. Like I think he has a chance to being like a much better hitter. But secondly, like because secondly, like they don't really have like they do have like Tyron Taylor actually like as a decent platoon option against lefties. Like he wasn't that great against lefties, but he's probably better than Bench. Like I don't think Bench is gonna be in the lineup like every day. Like he's definitely gonna get platooned, but it's just a matter of who he platoons with. Like it could be Robert, but because you just traded for him because he's getting paid a decent amount, like he's probably not gonna get platoon. So it's probably Tyrone Taylor in that role. So, but again, like if Robert struggles, then maybe you have Bench and center against righties, and then against lefties you have Robert, and then you trade for an everyday right fielder at the deadline. And then at DH I have Brett Baty and Mark Vientos. This is like a very interesting platoon just because even though Baty is a lefty and Vientos is a righty, both of them have reverse platoon splits. So look at Vientos, 108 against righties. Baty was still good, like 107. But against lefties, like Baty 116, Vientos 84. So if you could make the argument that like Baty should be the everyday DH, and I wouldn't hate that either. But like the thing is like also I forgot. So Vientos, because he's a righty, but he's better against righties. Like you look at his plays, and then Baty, he's better against lefties, even though he is a lefty. If you want to platoon these two, it's probably a matter of like, do you trust the splits from last year, or do you trust like the handedness and what you expect from that? So I went with the handedness. Like Baty's a lefty, he's against righties. Vientos is a righty, he goes against lefties. But you could also switch them, or you could just go Baty every day. And I feel like you could also Baty like everyday DH isn't that bad either, just because like he's good against lefties, good against righties. It's just that I feel like Mike Vander should be getting some playing time, like just so like you're hoping for a bounce back out of him. But, like let's say Vientos struggles, then you can option him, and then actually Vientos doesn't have any more options, but you could like bench Vientos and Baty is fills in every day. Like maybe bench comes like hits well against lefties, so he plays more. Maybe Mauricio plays more, so you can go about it a lot of different ways for the DH spot, and also like for the infield. Because like let's say Will Bichette struggles defensively, like maybe you put Baty back at third, and Bichette is more of a DH, or maybe Bichette to second and Semyon goes to DH. So again, a lot of different ways you can go about it. So as for the win projection, they have a ton of guys, like ton of top end talent, like Soto and Lindor, both projected for at least 6 wins. And then Peralta, Bichette, Semyon, Blanco, all up there. And Tauchman, he was good last year, but the thing is, like, there isn't really like that much space on it for him on the roster. Like, he is a non-roster invitee. Like, I think if he does make the roster, like if I go into pretty lamps, he probably replace a bench as sort of that strong side platoon role in right field. Or what you could do is like maybe if you're really low on Robert, then maybe bench and Robert platoons, and then Tauchman is every day, or maybe Tauchman, Robert platoons, and bench is every day. So yeah, Tauchman, he's been good the past few years, but I don't really see a role for him on the roster, so that's why I didn't have him on the roster. Yeah, they have like a lot of guys who are projected to for at least like 1 win. The minimum I set here is 0.75. So like everybody with at least 0.75 wins is listed here, and you can see they have a ton. They have 21 players projected for at least that much. And because of that, their win projection. Sorry, this is still set to everybody. Their win projection is 89.73, which is actually like it'll be the fourth seed, because Phillies are projected to have more wins, and then Dodgers and Cubs also division winners. So Mets basically the first wildcard spot, but again, like if we look at the division really quick, like they're like very close to the Braves, who are 88 and 74, which we covered a while ago. And then the Phillies are actually like a team that I'm a lot lower on. Just because even though like this is like 95-6 down, like we'll get into it like when we do the Phillies video, but I think there's a chance that Phillies like underperform this win projection. So because of that, like there's a chance the Mets win the division, or there's a chance like the Mets are like below the Rays, or perhaps even like not even making the playoffs. So yeah, there's like the Mets like they're known like for their collapses. I don't really have to tell you that, but they do have like a ton of talent on the team. They added a lot, but they did subtract a lot. So there's a lot of different ways that this could go. Like let's say Bichette isn't as good defensively, or Polanco isn't good defensively in their new positions, then they could. Or let's say like they also like fall off offensively, then that can also affect things. But yeah, the team with a ton of variance, like a lot of guys who could underperform, lots of guys who could overperform. So yeah, that's what I have for the New York Mets. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.